Parshas Tazria Mitzoras, major theme is clearly that of Sarat, the spiritual disease that affects people, that they get white spots upon them, and they go to the Kohen to see whether they are tameh or tahor, whether they're impure or not, contaminated or not, and they go through a process where indeed if they are, they have to be separated from the people, and then they're examined after 7 days, and it's a whole process of purification. Within these laws of Tzarat, there's a very fascinating law that's found in Perek Yud Gimel Pasuk Yud Beis. If the Tzarat will erupt on the skin, and the Tzarat will cover the entire skin of the affliction, from his head to his feet, wherever the eyes of the Kohen can see, the Kohen shall look, and behold, the affliction has covered his entire flesh. Then he shall declare the affliction to be pure, having turned completely white. It is pure. On the day healthy flesh appears in it, it shall be contaminated. Now, as Rav Hirsch notes in source number 3, this is a case, technically speaking, where a person was originally tameh, then they get, it just spreads even more, then they become tahor, and then as the process of continues and a little bit of healthy flesh comes, they once again to become tameh and pure, and the process of purification continues. Leaving out the technicalities of, that a person doesn't wake up one day and they're completely covered, but rather this is coming in the middle of a process. The obvious question we have to ask ourselves, that's the question of Farshim asks, Rav Wolbe, source 4, there's a fascinating halacha mentioned in this week's parsha with regard to tzaras. Even a small patch of tzaras can make a person tameh. Yet, if the tzarat spreads to the entire body, and it covers the person from head to toe, if we call the shear completely covered, the Torah tells us that the person is tahor. Now, how can this be? If a little bit makes you tameh, makes you impure, so you would say, alachas kam v'kama, how much more so? If you're covered from head to toe, of course you're impure. You're pure? Makes no sense. Well, it seems that this is an enigmatic spiritual law. It is clear from Chazal that we can extrapolate from this concept to other areas of life. And that's the question we're going to look at in Mir Hashem on 4 levels of how do we understand that this person is pure when clearly they are impure. Or we would think they are impure, right? Our understanding obviously is very limited. Before we begin this aspect of our study, I'd just like to take a little bit of a tour in a related area, and that is a beautiful idea of the Admor Migor based on the Zohar HaKadosh, Pasuk in Parsha Ki Teitzei, the Tal Leoros brings down in source 6, where he speaks about, let's say, in general, a person has a nega, a person has some type of affliction, right? They see something on their hand, and they go to the Kohen, and the Kohen decides it's a pure or impure, right? Let's forget our case for a second, completely covered. But let's ask even a more basic question. Why would it even be that a person would have an affliction on them and that they'd be pure? If the whole point of an affliction, right, is to afflict a person, so then wouldn't we think that any type of affliction would be tameh, impure? Why would God give somebody an affliction and they'd be tahor? Right, in our case, they're like super tahor. From head to toe they're afflicted. But they're tahor, but they're pure. How do we understand this? So Tal Leoros brings from Zohar Kadosh that Kishem Shenegoyim Bayim al Lashon Hara. We know generally that these type of afflictions come because a person spoke Lashon Hara. Hainu Alamira Throim Shasur Lomram, which means saying things you're not allowed to say. Kach Bayim Negoyim Gam Al Drim Shetzarich Lomram V'Lo Omram. Likewise, Negaim can sometimes come afflictions for not saying things that you should have said. And this is an inyan of a nega tahor, he says. It's an onesh, it's a punishment. That there are sometimes situations where a person should say something, a person should compliment a person should build a person up, and they don't take that opportunity. They don't say what should have been said at that moment. In that case, the person has missed an opportunity. So it's not like they said something wrong, but they didn't say what they could have said. So because of that, a person gets a nega, gets an affliction, but it's tahor. We can't be metameh a person. He didn't say anything wrong. It was just he missed an opportunity. And we know As Rav Freifeld speaks about so beautifully in Search of Greatness, we've done this piece before, tells the story of Simcha Zissel of Kel, who was with one of his Talmidim, and they used to stop yearly at a certain inn. And Rav Simcha Zissel was talking with the innkeeper's wife about the livestock and about, different things that interest her. And she stepped out for a moment, and Rav Simcha Zissel turned to his Talmud and says, "You're a Goslin, you're a thief." He turned and he says, "What do you mean a thief? I didn't steal anything. What did I do?" And he says in 7, "Did you see how this woman welcomed us? She welcomes us like this every year because she thinks we're big people. How can we repay her for her hospitality? We can be friendly. We can listen to what she has to say with at least a semblance of interest. So what do you think? Now's the time to sit and learn?" This is a responsibility that what speech